All right, so who is running the show right now? Why in the world are the truces being decided by the heads of 3-letter agencies, or in the case of that one, a 6-letter agency that essentially is the most scandalous people in the world? And obviously we know from, things that are released after 40 years that they do some pretty messed up stuff. It says that the 3-letter agency, starting with a C and ending with an IA, and the Mossad chiefs meet in Qatar as Israel-Hamas truce is extended. Again, it's saying that they essentially are part of the negotiations here. It says the head of the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency and Israel have met in Qatar to discuss the extension of a truce between and Hamas, as well as the captives being held by the Palestinian group in Gaza. Now, just a side note, there was another video that came out over the last few days of more people getting released. And for yet another time, they have shown the people being released giving hugs to their captor. Now, I forget what it's called. What is it called? Let's bring in my co-internet brother, Dex James. What is happening? Dex, how are you doing today?
Hello, Adam, and hello, Fugle fam. I'm doing just fine.
What is it called when you fall in love with your captor? What is that? There's a special word.
Stockholm.
Stockholm. I don't know if it's Stockholm, but somebody just posted hugs for Hamas, right? And it's I think it was Love, or no, it was Khaleesi on Twitter, and it posted a video of this, and something just doesn't sit right. Something is wrong here. These people are getting released, and as they're going, they're hugging their captors. Now, even if they were being held under like really good conditions, it's like you're still being held against your will, right? What is going on here? There's heavy influence and involvement of the 3-letter agencies. So really, you got to start asking questions, and you got to put your emotions aside and really ask, like, what the hell is going on here? But this video shows them hugging everybody, and everybody that left hugged like, they just spent a week with their family members. Like, it's weird. I'm sorry, no matter, how nice it is, how they're being taken care of, which we hear that they're not being taken care of. Why would you do that? The same with the older ladies that were released. They said, and they held their hands like it was their grandsons or something. Not to mention some of the people that were released had weird ties with people in the government or people that had purchased or paid money to certain members of our government. It's like, what in the heck is going on here? It says CIA Director William Burns and David Barnea, head of the Mossad intelligence, held talks with Qatar's Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman bin Jassim. Geez, that's a long name. Al Thani. It keeps going. Is that really one name? Man, that guy, I can understand when you get like 60 points, a certain amount of points on an SAT for just putting your name down. This guy should get like half of it. On Tuesday, a day after Doha announced a 2-day extension of an original 4-day humanitarian pause in Gaza that had been due to expire. It says, quote, "We have read a little bit between the lines here. The intelligence chiefs were important in the last meeting, which was on November 9th. We believe that that was one of the stepping stones getting us to the initial 4-day deal." And Al Jazeera diplomatic editor James Bay says, "The fact that we've got intelligence chiefs sitting here with the Qatari prime minister, who is also the foreign minister, is interesting because they've got the intelligence picture. But also I think it's interesting partly because of who the U.S. has got leading this effort." He said, adding this, that Burns is more experienced a negotiator than Anthony Blinken, the United States Secretary of State. So do you see the sort of the point here? So instead of Anthony Blinken, who should be going there, is more of a car salesman, whereas this guy is like, the professional secret super agent guy going in there to help, right? That's how they're kind of framing it. Like, oh, well, we need a James Bond to go in here and fix this, instead of, Dave selling you a Kia. Something is wrong with this picture, and if you don't see it, then I don't know what to say. This whole thing stinks. But that's just my opinion. What's yours? Let me know in the comments down below. Today, we've got a good show, so stick around. It is live. Anything can happen. We'll be right back right after this.
Hey, 'cause I got a big booty. 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 Hey,
Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. Shane, most likely it's slow mode. If you do try to chat, and if you are in the chat right now, if you try to chat before the 45 seconds or 60 seconds or 30 seconds, whatever we have it at tonight, depending on how many people are here, it will go gray because it will not work before that timer runs out. But sometimes it is stuff that they hold back at the platform. Again, so that might be the problem. All right, Dex, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on here. Obviously, we have a lot of world events we just talked about on news that a pro-Palestinian group just essentially caused a ruckus over at the tree lighting ceremony. They were having a clash with police, and I don't exactly know why. I don't have the full story, so who knows? Maybe something happened that wasn't supposed to happen, but I did see the videos of people pushing back on the barriers as they were trying to light the Christmas. But main point, though, is a lot of Christmases have been canceled. Heck, over the last 10 years, from Obama officially canceling Christmas at White House or one of the Christmas dinners or something, it just seems like less and less Christmas is a part of our country and a part of our everything. Not too many people are really caring about the actual traditions and things. As far as the White House tree ended up toppling over. I don't know if there's any symbolism behind any of this stuff that's going on, but it's not looking good for this Christmas. And I'm hoping that we have a peaceful time at least until Christmas. But we know that a certain day is coming up very soon here where we all pick the next prez, or we have the illusion of picking the prez. So I think that things are about to go south pretty fast here. Dex, as far as the spider eggs, I guess I'll go over that one because that was... do you want to go over the U.S. military aircraft carrying 8 crashes off of the coast of Japan?
Sure. So this was kind of out of the blue. Well, obviously, a crash like this is always out of the blue, but we had a crash, and it was one of the Ospreys. And the Ospreys, if you guys don't remember, those are the ones that have the vertical takeoff where they kind of take off like a helicopter where the props point up and then they can rotate them forward as they start to get forward momentum and then fly like a traditional plane. You might have seen these with the president's detail. I know T-Man used them a lot at his big events when he was the president. A lot of the gear and other stuff and other people would fly on it. Not him, or not the current president either. But those were the ones that were also seen in California when the current president was going there. So this Osprey went down in the coast, western of Japan. It appears that one person has perished, unfortunately. But it is a U.S. military vehicle and or jet, or not even jet, but aircraft. The Japanese Coast Guard said the crash site is off Yakushima Island, and the patrol boats and the aircraft have been deployed to the location for search and rescue efforts, and at least one person was perished, Coast Guard officials said, according to the Associated Press.
Now, there is a reason, too, why the president doesn't ride on these, and that is because if the power goes out, these cannot land without power. That is one of the reasons why the presidents will have these. There was a big debate about this back when, in California, these things landed in a suburban neighborhood. It was quite creepy. and it was in preparation for a presidential visit. But there was a debate if the president rides on these. One of the reasons that the president doesn't ever ride on this is because if the power to the propellers went out, it can't coast itself down to the ground. A regular helicopter has a thing that happens. And you guys, if you're a helicopter pilot, or you know what this is called, or Dex can Google it, but the when the helicopter comes, if it falls down, the blades will actually turn from the force of the wind and slow it down enough to where it can land. That's something that a normal helicopter can do. The normal big helicopter that the Air Force rolls in. So when these crash, it's a pretty big deal. Auto rotation. Thank you, Badger One, Norway, and others. Auto rotate. There was I felt like there was another word too. But auto rotation, they can literally, it's like a plane can coast down and emergency land if it has a place to land. Helicopters can do somewhat of the same thing. I'm sure it's not the best way of landing, and who knows, it's probably a dangerous way of landing, but it can do it. These can't. If these have power loss, they're going to crash, and you're most likely going to die. And then before we go any further, I do want to remind you guys, make sure to go over to the website. You will find every single article, tweet, video, picture, document, and you will have a full bibliography for every single article, tweet, video, picture, document we share here. There's a full bibliography, so use it. You can also search former shows, and you can also go over and see all of the stuff that did not fit into the show. So lots of great stuff. All of the tweets that I add, those are there as well. And of course, Dex can add things live if there's breaking news. And if you want to let us know about it, we can fit it into the show. So let's see here. And this was just creepy. So I added this purely because it was something that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Man finds spider eggs in his toe while on a cruise. It says when Colin Blake noticed that his toe had turned purple and started to swell, he knew something was wrong. And by the way, Dex was complaining he had something going on with his foot. I sent this to him thinking like, oh, maybe he got spider eggs. Blake, you checked though, right? You don't have spider eggs, right?
No eggs.
Okay, all right. Blake, who's from Cramlington, North Lumberman, told BBC that he first noticed his toe change color while he was on a cruise in France, celebrating his 35th wedding anniversary. After visiting the ship's doctor to get it checked out, he was informed that he had been bitten by a Peruvian wolf spider, which had laid eggs in his toe. I have never heard of this. A Peruvian wolf spider that lays eggs inside of you. I could see it. So it bit and then opened a hole to lay its eggs. Like, that is the creepiest thing I could ever imagine. I had a really scary instance when I was a kid, and it was in the side of one of the, at the time we were in one of these, not a full trailer, but one of those pop-up trailers that had the top that popped up and the bed was in the front. One of those things you could literally collapse down to nothing and then tow with a regular truck. We lived in one of those, and basically it had a really thin kind of the shingles on the outside on the bottom half of it. And I remember like there was some sort of sound outside, and I walked out, and there was a tiny hole on the side of the white wall of this camper. And I remember the little baby spiders just all of a sudden going everywhere. And it was right next to the door too. So it was like, you knew that they were going inside. If you've ever seen baby spiders hatch, and I don't know if it was the kind of spider, it was on a white background with black spiders, and it was something out of a movie. They spread out in every direction. It was the scariest thing I have ever seen. I have been terrified of spiders since. I know that most people are terrified of spiders, even if they don't have an experience like that, because they are absolutely creepy. But that I will never forget. So I've been paranoid about spider eggs my entire life. If this happened to me, I don't think I would be able to ever leave the house again. Or I don't think I would be able to be in a house. I'd probably have to be in a bubble. But yeah, wolf spiders are often found in France city ports after arriving cargo ships. One of the weirdest parts is he was on a freaking a cruise. The ship's medical team cut open Blake's toe, letting out pus. Fluid reportedly looked like it contained leaves, which turned out to be spider eggs. Oh my gosh. I am deathly afraid. I'm with you, Marv, says Carrie Ray. Yeah. Marley Barbie 918. Yep. Okikon. Tell us about the new CV. Make sure to go over and watch the news video that we just did on that. Go over the mystery, and it's not a CV. They're making that pretty clear that the new pneumonia stuff is not CV. But I would watch the video we just did over on news on that. We're going to be covering everything else. Nope, I'd just die. Could have been his face. Martin Cole. Yeah. And that's like straight out of a horror movie. If there's any budding horror movie writers here, that's probably about the freakiest thing ever. And then after watching the movie Arachnophobia, that movie, I always check toilets every single time, just to make sure that there's no spider hiding in it. Dex, go ahead.
I just hope you're going to get to the end, but the last part is, it wasn't just that he had eggs. They left one in by accident, and he came back later, and it had hatched inside him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, one of the spider eggs hadn't been flushed and must have hatched. He said that they believed the spider was making its way out of my toe. I didn't ask if I could keep it. I did ask if I could keep it, but they said no. What a messed up. Dude, this is the opposite of any of us. Like, he asked to keep it. Oh, that is so gross. How long did they live? I mean, you want a souvenir? Like, I guess if you told people that, they wouldn't believe you. U.S. military, with the camper thing, it was like I remember a family member let us stay with them because of that. And it was like a family member that didn't like my mom and didn't want us to be there. And I remember the only reason we got to stay there is because that person understood so much about the spiders and didn't want me sleeping there that she let us stay with them. It was like, I remember it was like, yeah, she was like, hated my mom, but was like, yeah, I know you can't sleep in that thing now. I think that we never slept in that thing again. U.S. military aircraft carrying 8 crashes off the coast of Japan, 1 dead. Okay, we already went over that. And then the U.S.-Iranian miscalculation could lead to a larger war, officials say. So when I see these headlines, I'm like it's a big duh. But they point this out. And I guess more of the point of this kind of stuff is we see articles like this every day, and it kind of reminds you that, one little thing wrong it's like everybody knows this. One wrong mistake anywhere in any conflict can escalate things. But specifically, they're saying this because of different events that are going on. They're saying that any kind of miscalculation will end up in a war. I feel like they're setting us up. They're letting us know that this is, any little thing is going to start this thing off. It is mentally preparing people for a war. Neither Washington nor Tehran wants the conflict in the Strip to trigger a wider war in the region. But it says, in the 7 weeks since the October 7th led attack on the Israel-Iranian-backed militias have launched more than 70 rocket and drone attacks against U.S. troops in Iraq and Syria. The Pentagon, for its part, has responded with 4 rounds of airstrikes, killing as many as 15 people, U.S. officials say. Now, remember, ours, we haven't lost any soldiers yet, but we had at least 70 instances and a bunch of injuries, or at least that's what they're saying. As you guys know, I've been pointing this out since day one, since they said there was 6 attacks, there was 12 attacks, there was 24 attacks, there was 35, there was 42, there was 55, there was 65. We're up to 70 attacks on U.S. soldiers. So if you don't think that they haven't drilled it into your head that they have personally paid for and funded attacks on the U.S., on U.S. soldiers, look at what they've set up. They have they have all of the excuses in the world. If they went to Congress, they could go, think about this. If we go to an official war, usually Congress has to play a part unless some sort of big thing happens. Now, what if instead of a big thing, they have, 100 small things happen? And they go in and they go, look at this. They've attacked us 70 times. How many times do we need? How many do we need to wait until somebody dies? I can see one of the congressmen or somebody going up and saying, oh, how many do we need to get this thing done? When in the background, there's most likely some sort of agenda that probably revolves around some sort of resource or some sort of money or some sort of contract that gets us into a full hot war. There always is. There hasn't been a war that doesn't involve some sort of money or some sort of resource that is at the root of it all. It's not all about morals and saving the world. They all make us think that they're doing it to save freedom. What are you talking about? Our government and every other government is literally taking away every freedom that we have, but yet they're trying to protect democracy? Give me a break. National security officials fear a miscalculation amid tit-for-tat attacks. We have talked about tit-for-tat for 5 years, and we point them out because once you understand how to obviously see them, oh, they did this, like the Chinese amphibious assault carrier, and then all of a sudden we had a U.S. amphibious assault carrier, both in port, catch fire within 4 months. It's like, and they say, oh, it was just random. No, it's not. Come on, that's a tit-for-tat attack. Combined with each side's belief that the other does not want a larger fight could trigger exactly that, a regional conflict just 2 years after the United States entered 20 years of war in the Middle East and South Asia. Did people think we were going to stay out of war? Historically, 93% since we became a country over hundreds of years, 93% of that time has been in a major war. 7% has been in peace. And if you really think about it, that means the 4 years during T-Man, he actually held a big chunk of it. Pretty nuts if you ask me. But yeah, they said, so far, none of the U.S. reprisal attacks have provoked an escalation, even the one last week in Iraq that killed several militants. Now, maybe it did, maybe it didn't. The thing is, there's been major hacks lately. We had the Federal Reserve. We had this, we had that. They just had 40% of Australia, their comms went down, and we were just expected to say it was a glitch. All of the Federal Reserve didn't, all of the direct deposits didn't go in. What was the one just like a couple days ago, Dex? Didn't something else big happen? Fidelity National Bank. What happened with that one? That was ransomware, right?
Yeah, well, I believe so. I don't know if they actually said, other than we know it was cyber, and it was still down. I think another part of it was still down today.
So we don't actually know how they would respond. Are they going to respond by attacking a base in Syria, or are they going to respond with a cyber attack that attacks a city water plant? Also, there was the water plant housed 6,500 residents. That was hacked. A hacktivist group that said that they were from an Iran-backed thing. So we don't know what the response will be, but saying that one miscalculation could end up in a war, it's a real big duh. And it's like they're mentally preparing us for one big thing to happen, and then we get into war. How do you guys think? Let us know in the comments down below or in the chat. Naughty Kitten says Scarlett Johansson is gorgeous. That is random, and I agree with you, but not as pretty as my wife. And then Sergeant Sedenko, Truth Iris. Let's see here. We've got Infidelity Bank is okay there, though. J-Pos. Yeah, Infidelity Bank. Scrappy Doo. The timing on that. Genius by Birth is hitting it big time tonight. What is happening? Spawn 23, 2 world wars, millions dead, and humans learnt nothing except how to wage more wars. Spawn 23, absolutely correct. Nick Roth, smart man. Tennessee Mountain Girl. Love you, Miss Marv. The Major, that's a bit naughty. I liked Carter Washington. It was too corrupted and didn't appreciate him. Susan Wilson. Oh, Washington, appreciate him. Let's see here. Ryan Alter. It says Infidelity Bank, LOL. Yeah. Ace Bear, Mark Sia, what's going on? Burger Time, Choco Taco. Truth Iris, hi. Marfoogle, hey, Truth Iris, it's nice to see you. And then American Argonaut. Let's see here. Nerd, the one big thing will not be a war. Nerd, I somewhat agree with you on that. I think it will be an attack. Nickelwise, good save. Yeah. Neural weapons are here. Kevin Svensson Crypto. Yep. And people. You guys don't hear that, do you? Huge helicopter. Don't know what the heck that was shaking the house. Glad that one of my wee ones didn't scream or something because I had it full blast. For the last week though, by the way, anybody else in Washington notice that we have had just, I don't know if they're doing nighttime drills, the Lewis McChord and a bunch of the other bases, like it's crazy. Anything by Boeing, like there's been all sorts of things going on. You would think that this was like the Memorial Day weekend or something, or the Blue Angels in town. It's crazy how much air traffic there is right now. And then we've seen two of like the big, I don't know what it was. And I know it had the big bottom. I want to say it was a Hercules. We've seen two of those in the last like week. And you can't miss them. I mean, they're just giant. We just talked about it last week too. And now we're seeing all these big planes, huge Chinooks. The Chinooks and a couple, not the Apaches, but the other military helicopter. I don't know why I'm blanking on it. Not the Apache, which is all square. Dex, what is the other popular military single blade? Chinook's the double blade, and then what's this other single blade?
Why you thinking like a Black Hawk?
Yeah, we've had Black Hawks just like no other in the last week. I haven't seen an Apache since like last year, but I did see an Apache over West Seattle. That was crazy. Either way, have any of you noticed that from Washington? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to comment after the video and say hi, say happy birthday to somebody, say whatever. And Huey, no, we've seen a lot of the Hueys that I see are actually civilian that bought Hueys, at least on Flight Radar. There's a lot of old Hueys rolling around. Or flying around, I guess. 15 miles from my house, windows shake, says Nick Roth. I saw an Apache. He was making fry bread. I flew the opossum. Altageist, many drones. And of Tara Williams evacuations. North Korea drone, says Dangerous Dax. I don't think it was a North Korea drone, but who knows? They say they got pictures of the White House. Before we move on, speaking of North Korea, EMP is one of the most likely events, and North Korea and other countries have threatened this. Who knows if they'll ever fall through with it? But also something that we've been talking about over the last couple of days is all of the crazy solar events. There was a triple flare. If you saw the images, I don't know if any of you went over to Wages World's video on the solar activity of the last couple of days. Right now, we're getting hit. I've noticed just how weird everything has been and how people have been acting, how people have been driving in the last couple of days. I feel like it's from the sun, but the solar activity, we are coming up on the peak. We just now had one of the craziest things. If you saw the coronal hole on the sun, the picture of what looked to be 20% of the face of the sun, all black, it was absolutely, it looked like a rip in space-time. That's how big it looked. I mean, it just looked nuts. But that was happening over the last couple days. This is a device that can also protect you against the natural kind. So whether you believe any man-made event like this will ever happen, or if anybody ever has the goal to do it, this will also protect your vehicles and keep them running through a natural CME. So if we get hit by, it's when we get hit by a Carrington level event, this will keep your car running, your truck running, your generators, your gas generator, your solar generator in the case of the Energy Flex 1500. It will keep your house running. They have a house version that can protect everything plugged in within 250 linear feet. And it can protect your motorcycles, boats, RVs, whatever you have, it most likely has a device for it. So go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. And right now, of course, throughout this whole Black Friday kind of week, Cyber Monday, all of that, we have the $50 off code. And of course, that always stacks on top of all of the other stuff going on. So make sure to go check for current sales going on. But you will always get that $50 off per device so you can outfit multiple cars at a huge discount. It's very easy to do. It takes you less than 10 minutes to put it in your car, red to red on your battery, black to black on your battery, and green to ground. You're done. That's it. It's something you won't need until you need it. And once you do, you will thank yourself. Not being able to drive or turn on your car is going to be a pretty big downer if any of these events happen. From CME to an EMP, this can protect you against both. And that's why the government and agencies like DHS and DOD are using this company. So go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP and make sure to use the code MARF. Thank you guys for supporting us. It helps support us. It gives you a big discount. It's a win-win. And then Dex, do you want to go over to Vladimir Putin demands Russian women have 8 more children to make up for war debts?
Absolutely. And Adam, while I do that, can you grab the link to the poll shift story? I think it was missing in the show for some reason when we were setting up. So I put it in screener.
Thank you.
But yes. So Vlad was talking and he was, I guess, addressing and speaking in a video link to the World Russian People's Council on Tuesday. And he said, quote, "Many of our people maintain the tradition of the family where 4, 5, or more children are raised. But he says, recall that in Russian families, our grandmothers and great-grandmothers had both 7 and 8 children. He said, let's preserve and revive these traditions. Having many children, large families should become a norm, a way of life for the people of Russia. A family is not just a foundation of society, a spiritual phenomenon, and a source of morality, et cetera, et cetera." Now, the reason a lot of people are speculating he's saying this, and these comments are coming off, is they're saying it's because of the loss of life in the conflict. But there's also, he warned that there would be a catastrophic demographic problem with their country and that they needed to prevent that. So I guess he's sort of looking at the numbers of how their population is going to either stop growing at some point or not. And he is suggesting, hey, we need to have more. And we've seen this come out from other people that like to call themselves humanists versus extinctionists, like Elon saying everybody should have many, many children. And we've even seen some countries like China reverse their position on reducing the number of children and trying to increase it because they start to see the writing on the wall that their numbers were going to decline quickly and they weren't going to be able to recover quickly. It would be very difficult. So they probably needed a very large course correction to maintain their status quo, so to speak. Now, I know a lot of this goes hand in hand with a lot of different philosophies, especially a lot of people at the top who, want to think that, or who believe specifically that the world has too many people on it and they would like to see reductions. We've seen that from things like the Georgia Guidestones to elites that talk about how they would come up with other ways to improve humanity in their minds by having less mouths to feed, so to speak. So very interesting position coming from him. That's what the story is. He really was pushing forward to the population there saying, hey, go have some babies.
And I was gonna pull up that Elon tweet. Well, basically what he says is that he said the real battle will soon, and he said it twice in October. He put it out. He wrote it almost the exact same tweet. He wrote it, the real fight or the real battle, and then the same ending of it, which was it will be between humanists and extinctionists. And whether you like him or not, what he is admitting and what he's saying, and I take it at face value, and this is another thing like where I believe because of my biases, but who knows? But I do also believe because of everything I've seen that there are extinctionists. Forget him. Just understand that there are actual extinctionists that believe that we need to disappear. Extinctionists saying that this world would be better off without 99% of us. That's crazy. But this is how they think. And look at where technology is going. Look at where these rich elites want it to go. They want it to go so there is no middle class. We're thinking like, oh, well, if robots are doing everything, like, what are we supposed to do? In their eyes, we don't need to do anything. You understand that? They won't need us. Before they needed us because they don't want to be maids. They don't want to clean their own stuff. They don't want they don't want to fix their own plumbing. They don't want to drive their own cars. They want to be drove around. They don't want to drive their own food to their, they don't want drive their own trucks to their own places. No, they want the middle class people down below them to do that. And they don't want those people to talk to them or even make eye contact with them. This is a real thing. I mean, like, talk to anybody that's ever worked for any kind of elite. Usually there's rules, ground rules about working with them or around them. Don't talk to them. Look at all the stories about like Jimmy Fallon, like you're not supposed to, or Ellen DeGeneres or any of these people. They say, don't make eye contact with them. Don't look at them. Don't laugh near them. Don't make noise. It's like these people don't care about us. They just needed us to do the crappy jobs. But what happens when we have robots and AI that will do that for them? Do you think that they'll need us anymore? Do you think that they'll want us? They consider 99% of us absolute garbage. That's what's so freaky. But then again, there might be people out there that actually want more people because maybe those people are so egotistical and narcissists that the more people there is, the more people that they can have love them, right? It depends on their views. Whereas there's somebody like Mr. Gates, imagine his view, and I'm not making an excuse for him, but if you were that person, or if you see the nerdy kid in class that gets bullied all the time, and then that bully comes back and does horrible things, people have looked at that over the years, and they've said, well, these people were bullied, and they had problems, and they of course had issues because they were bullied all these years. Mr. Gates, people don't care if he's bullied, but again, if you think about what Gates sees when he looks up himself on the internet, that guy's probably pretty pissed off at pretty much everybody. And obviously he's doing everything that people say. So it's not like he can, but did he do that 15 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago when he was just a regular Microsoft guy? When he was one of the earliest, richest people ever, he was one of the original people before Twitter and all this stuff that got a lot of hate, got a lot of really bad press. Maybe the guy is just really pissed off at everybody because everybody talked trash about him. Who knows? Maybe that's what shaped him into the evil that we all think he is. But if you really think about it, it's like it's getting crazier and crazier. I just try to look at the other side of it. It's like somebody like him with all of that power, and he looks out and everybody hates him. He's probably like, I'm going to use this power to get back at all of these people. I'm going to use this power to get rid of all of these people. There are people out there like that. And when they have power, and when they have the most power, arguably one of the most powerful men in the world, that's a scary thing. Let's go over to the chat here. And again, I'm not making an excuse. I'm just saying, literally look at it. Look at the people that get treated like that. Do you think that they're going to be like, yeah, everybody down below should have more kids and that they should be around? No, he's probably having dreams about how he can take us out. Like, think about it. I couldn't imagine, like, if there's garbage out on you, but imagine being him. You can't look up his name without seeing some craziness. Russian major general blown up on landmine on Ukraine front. Princess Knight kicking butt. Don't let a good crisis go to waste. Vinny Vengeance. Yep. Juanita chicken and potatoes. Julie C. What's happening? We've got Kathy Paina from Hawaii. When the population explodes in Africa, like the math lays out, he might be doing us a favor as well. Hate to say. Oh, geez. McKay Heads S2. Dan P. Everyone from birds should be taught to defend themselves. Well, I somewhat agree with that. Charlie Munger passed away at 99 years old. Oh, goodness. Well, you know who else just passed away? Kissinger died. We have that in today's show, actually. Let me see where that is. I have Mayslove's tweet here later on. Tweeted that the guy...
it's on the show page.
Oh, okay. So check this out. Yeah. Henry Kissinger died. I might as well just cover this since it's not actually in here. So let's see here. Yeah. So check this out. Henry Kissinger, Nobel Prize winning warmonger, has died at age 100. So I saw people arguing whether he was 99 or 100. Either way, the guy was just quoted over the last couple of weeks. An enigmatic realist who fled Nazi Germany, Kissinger is remembered for ending the U.S. war in Vietnam, opening China. I wonder if he had any regrets about that. Either way, we won't be seeing any more quotes. What do you think about that? Let me know in the comments down below. If you're watching this with your morning cup of Joe, tell me, what do you think about the passing of Kissinger? Is this something that, well, it's not like it's a surprise. He was 100 years old. Nick Roth, meow, what's happening? John Hurd. I bet a lot of people are. Ding dong. Kent Kearney. I can't read half of these, but I can laugh at them. Good. Yep. And then J Pass. I'm trying to be nice. Felonious Mayhem. Nice to see you. Connie Martin. WIS Jen. Well, you have to realize people like this were extremely influential in a lot of crazy stuff. A lot of people looked to them. Their beliefs were being held up by their money. And then we have yet another major of Russia blown up on a landmine. At least that's what they say. Russian Major General Vladimir Zavadsky's death was reported by UKR military officer Colonel Anatoly Stefan. Said in a post on Telegram that the deputy commander of the 14th Army Corps of Russian Armed Forces perished on Tuesday, but added that further clarification on the cause of his death was needed. Why? So they said that it says it isn't clear where in UKR he was reportedly taken out. So we might see in the next couple days that maybe he didn't perish, or he perished some other way, or they come up with some reason why he perished. Or they blame it on Vlad and that Vlad took him out because he looked weird at his wife or something. Or at one of his 6 kids that he has. Who knows? And then the Pentagon hopes for force multiplier and race with new tech with China. Dex, do you want to go over what is going on here?
So they're continuing to just push this narrative strong coming out of the DoD, specifically around enabling and purchasing these high number of drones, and this notion of I think it's called the replicator program. What was interesting was Phil Siegel, the founder and the Center of Advanced Preparedness and Threat Response Simulation, believed that the rapid push towards these AI weapons is similar to that of a nuclear arms race. And I thought, that we have to think about what that means. So, we rushed in a hurry once we built the first atomic bomb to say, hey, let's make sure we've got as much of this, as powerful as this. We tested them. We made them as big as we possibly could. And we bulked up on it because we said it was the most important thing to make us the strongest country in the world. And we knew our adversaries were doing the same. So we went full speed ahead. Well, it appears that we're going full speed ahead by a notion of trying to get this stuff enabled by 2026, which, mind you, is only 2 years away. And I'm not just talking like a whole bunch of drones, but a whole bunch of AI driven drones is what they're looking at. And they're doing it not just because they can, they're doing it because they know China is doing it and they have to race to get there to be able to have a position of power. The problem that I foresee with this notion of this speed and rush to market, so to speak, with this technology is it's going to probably cause them to do things we're not going to be happy with 10 years from now, or even 3 years from now, after 2026 has come and gone. There are going to be things in AI that are just going to be scary as double hockey sticks. And it's going to be because they rushed. So the whole notion of this replicator program where they can create a massive number of drones, small drones, big drones, but they're all driven by AI, and they can, say that they'll never use them, say that they're only for deterrence, and we should hope that we never have to use them, kind of like our nuclear arsenal. But it's going to be scary that it's sitting right there and it can be driven by AI.
Well, and I still see the comment a lot, especially on last week's video. We talked about a lot about the OpenAI thing and the threat to humanity and the letter and why Sam Altman was fired. And I still see the comment a lot that people are like, "Oh, chill out, AI is stupid. It's not going to be a big deal." I don't believe that. And I'm not just believing the hype. I've talked to people in different industries that say that it is going to be taken over. It is already taking over people's jobs. Dex and I just talked about this before the show. We talked about the first story with the CIA and Mossad deciding this, helping decide the whole thing that's going on in the Middle East. And we were talking about how this kid got hired by the CIA right off of TikTok, or at least that's what's being said. This kid that you probably have seen him on some sort of show because they've shown his skills. He's crazy. You can send him a picture of you anywhere, and he'll take the craziest things to find where that picture was taken, and he'll find it on Google Maps. He doesn't just use Google Maps. He actually uses the picture. He'll look at the leaves, which way they're growing, the moss, or he'll use things on the ground, or he'll use a train track and the kind it is and where it was manufactured to find out where it is, whatever else. I haven't seen too much of it, but I have seen some of the highlights on some of the shows that talked about this. And the CIA hired him. And Dex is totally right. He said, well, they're not going to hire him to do that work. They're going to hire him to learn everything he's doing so that they can program an AI to do that instead. So instead of it's one human and here's one picture, find where this person is, it will be like, we need your skills, then put it into some sort of computer and use that and do it 10 million times over. That's what they're doing right now. They are replacing people. One of the other people I know worked at a very big tech company and literally helped write the code to replace all of his coworkers. So essentially what happened is he used to go out to lunch with all of his friends, and what his friends didn't know and his coworkers didn't know is that his company was asking him to look at each one of his friends or coworkers, and these were close friends, look at what they do, what their job is, and then program a code that could do it for them. Each time he did that, one of these people would get laid off and be replaced by an algorithm. And it's so messed up because this person had to literally destroy all of his friends' careers, and one by one was writing out their friends' need in the company, so all of them just left. I mean, it's just nuts. That's what they're doing right now. Even the most skilled coders are basically getting pulled in to find out how they're, so good at it, and then they're programming some computer to do it for them. It's really, really disturbing. And that's why people have got to fight. We're not in a Star Trek world where money doesn't matter and we've evolved past that. We're never going to. As long as there's rich, powerful people, they're never going to make it so we're all just happy and own nothing. I don't believe it. I think we're going to be happy and we'll own nothing because we're going to be 6 feet under something. Let's see here. We are getting replaced. The industrial age is over. Just try not to let them take you out. Yep. And by the way, that person no longer works for that company. Eventually, after about 3 or 4 years, they got laid off too. So that's why I said that CIA kid, somebody should tell that kid, don't tell them nothing. Don't tell them anything about how you do your stuff. Because it's only going to help them replace people. Let's see here. Thank you for the support. Thank you, Tennessee Mountain Girl. I appreciate the back-to-back supers. And again, you did that at the beginning of the show. I hope you're still here. Tennessee Mountain Girl, of course. Thank you. And then Angela Bloom says, hello, prayers for an uneventful weekend. I think of you or Dex need to remind people what a Kepler syndrome is, and it's something we just need to be aware of. Not to scare anyone, just thank you. What is the, Dex, can you look up what a Kepler syndrome is? Well,
why kept wanting to redirect me to Kessler. I don't know why. I'm not quite sure.
Huh. If I don't need you to. If you can just explain that in regular chat, I wouldn't do another super, but email me what you're talking about. Adam@marfooglenews.com. And Grace for you too. Thank you for your support as well. And then Lewis Dennings says, I'm not allowed to talk in normal chat. They were blocking me. So I don't know what's happening there. So again, email me, but I will check. But sometimes it's the slow mode. Again, a lot of people, if they're new, they don't realize that the slow mode is slowing them down. General rules in chat: no spamming, no talking trash about other creators. Don't put any other people in chat down. Other than that, though, yeah, it may be a mistake, or you might have gotten off on the wrong foot or something, but we'll figure it out. I always encourage people to email me if you feel like you were slighted in any way. Again, anything that goes on, if anybody has to like be banned or something, usually our mods will screenshot what the offense was. And again, we can always try to fix it or try to work it out. The goal is that everybody should be able to get a second chance and a third chance and a fourth chance. If they're having a bad day or something, I just ask you don't bring it into here. And then U.S. imposes sanctions on cryptocurrency mixer Sinbad over alleged North Korea links. So the United States on Wednesday imposed sanctions on a virtual currency mixer the Treasury Department said has processed millions of dollars worth of cryptocurrency from major heists carried out by North Korea-linked hackers. The U.S. Treasury Department in a statement said virtual currency mixer Sinbad, hit with sanctions on Wednesday, processed millions of dollars worth of virtual currency from heists carried out by North Korea-linked Lazarus Group, including the Axie Infinity and Horizon Bride heists of hundreds of millions of dollars. Lazarus, which has been sanctioned by the U.S., has been accused of carrying out some of the largest virtual currency heists to date. In March of 2022, for example, they allegedly stole about $620 million in virtual currency from a blockchain project linked to the online game Axie Infinity. So first of all, like I can't believe I've never heard of Axie Infinity, and somehow it's making $620 million online. Like, what are all of these things, right? Crypto is just insane. Mixing services that enable criminal actors such as the Lazarus Group to launder stolen assets will face serious consequences. Dex, now, you know I don't know much about crypto, but I also see the government looking at crypto and trying any which way to frame it as this needs to be government controlled. Dex, what do you see with this specifically? That could be true, but they could use something like that to then regulate other cryptocurrencies, couldn't they not?
Right. This is the exact tool the government doesn't like. So these tools that are out there, which are deregulated, they're not part of any necessarily an entity, and to some extent, and sometimes they are. But what they do is they're called a blender or a mixer, and you would transfer currency in to it, and once it goes in, it's lost. You'll never know who owned it. You may know who brought it in, because you can track like the history of the crypto. Looking at the wallet, it went from this wallet to that wallet and that wallet to that wallet. Well, if it goes into one of these mixers, the whole point of the mixer is to take in a lot of wallets from a lot of people, mix up the information, but then give back out to whoever wants it, whatever was theirs, but in a different format, in a different way, in different IPs, so that it can't be traced. It's supposed to be untrackable. When it comes to things like foreign illegal activities, like with foreign governments, that's high on the list. And also when it comes to things like organized crime and stuff like that, those would be high on the list of things that the government would like to see stop, or at least be able to track. And a lot of that stuff is used in here. So in this one particular instance, they're talking about this one particular product called Sinbad that they are now trying to put sanctions against, which would block any currencies going in and out of it, because of the fact that it was used by these hackers out of North Korea, and that they obviously used it to take the money that they took, or get the money that they took from probably a ransomware attack or multiple ransomware attacks out there, blend it in, and then bring it out usable, and wash it, so to speak, so that nobody knows who it belonged to or where it went after the fact.
By the way, hey, Rip Curl, nice to see you. And some so same thing with like what's it called? As far as I've seen this a lot. Does this even make sense? And you guys can answer this. Anybody that's more familiar with crypto. Would you put it past the government to put somebody like SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried, in a position to do what he did, like almost set it up and knowing what he would do with the money, so then they could take him down on purpose, like basically leave like a bait car for car thieves, right? Trap them in that trap, so then they could then regulate crypto. So they could go, well, look at this happened. He ripped off all these people. Now we need to go in and government regulate, something like that. Does that even make sense, Dex? And I know it makes sense, but would that be something that you would see happening with SBF, like, and all of these weird
I mean, you
events?
could certainly think that he was a giant honeypot to some extent, and probably in many different ways. It could be a honeypot um, for activities on the crypto side, but it could very well just has been a honeypot for all of the other people that he was rubbing elbows with in the celebrity slash political space, and gaining and honeypotting them in, so that they have something to hold over them, whether they bring it to the public or not.
Marley Barbie 918 says, all right, chat, sadly, I must bid adieu. Hey, well, thank you for staying as long as you did. And I appreciate you, and thank you so much. And we will see you in a bit. Well, as Lewis Taylor says, sounds like a CIA op to me. Well, as far as being able to, obviously everybody can agree that nobody wants North Korea to be stealing heists and all of this, but it sounds like an easy excuse to be able to go in and say, well, we're going to use all the tools. Anytime you hear the government say we're going to use every tool in our arsenal to combat this, usually it's a freedom. So, all right. Dex, can you, I have to change batteries real quick. Can you cover the Haiti gangs? And then I will talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is, again, we've talked about Haiti a few times in the past. So this is not new in the sense that we know there's this trouble going on there. We know that the gangs have been sort of taking over control of the city. The government's sort of been outcasted. And we've often talked about, will they do something to fix it? Well, what has happened now is they're saying that they've moved out of the major cities, and they're now moving into all of the rural areas as well. So this is coming from the UN Human Rights, and I guess what they are now suggesting specifically is that action needs to be taken, and they're saying that specific action needs to happen from other governments that need to come in and take over and do something. So I don't know necessarily if that means action will happen immediately, or if we will start to see something build with probably the UN pushing for it, whether it be peacekeepers or just maybe pushing on countries like Mexico, U.S., even Canada, and others that would actually potentially go in there. I know we have put very limited number of times we may have landed in there to do a few things, but nobody's really jumped in to take on this problem from a military point of view or from a restructuring the government point of view. And now the UN is sort of saying it's kind of has to happen because they're saying it's getting out of hand. So that's just their opinion. They don't necessarily have the ultimate authority. They do have whatever authority they have in the sense of leading some of the countries that are part of the UN into doing things. So it won't surprise me if we don't start to see something in the not too distant future where they're organizing some troops from multiple countries to go in there and reorganize things.
Yeah, I know, and there's been a lot of folks that have tried to cover Haiti. Haiti is just a really confusing topic for most of us. A lot of people don't really know why they should care. I think that there's something bigger happening with Haiti, and it has world significance, but it's really hard to tell what exactly that is. Like, what shadiness is going on down there? Because U.S. keeps getting involved for some reason. I just wonder what the secrets are. Like with UKR, before all of this went down, not too many Americans really realized how much stuff was going on in UKR. There was a lot of things. There are possible labs and other things that really did have a really significant, event going on there, but nobody knew about it. I wonder what they are doing over there. Otherwise, I don't think we would be too involved, or anybody would be involved. State Farm is closing its doors to millions of new customers exposed to rapidly growing catastrophes. More issues. The EPA reports that wildfires are getting worse as the planet gets warmer. And it says, in response to this and other factors, major insurer State Farm has announced that it will no longer offer homeowners insurance to new applicants in fire-prone California. We talked about this before. Other companies have actually stopped giving away, or not giving away, but selling home insurance plans and different things like this. And some people wondered that they were doing this because something was happening or something was coming. They said, why would they stop doing this? According to the EPA, the area burned by wildfires each year has been increasing since the 1980s. The 10 most destructive years on record have happened in the past 20 years, causing more damage thanks to a plentiful dry plants left behind by drought. It says, while the effects are felt across the U.S., California is famous for its yearly wildfires and its resulting smoke. This year has been particularly hard for the state due to the devastating combinations of storms, floods, drought, and fire. As Axios reports, this became too much risk for State Farm. The company cited the historic increases in construction costs outpacing inflation and rapidly growing catastrophe exposure in its decision to close applications across California in May. Rapidly growing catastrophe exposure. That's a mouthful. This is something that obviously is not going to stop here. A lot of folks looked at this and they go, well, why California? Well, obviously, if you're an insurance company, it's not going to be your business just to give away money. In fact, you want to kind of be the winner of the odds and you want to bet on, nothing happening. And then when something does happen, you use the big pot of gold that you got from millions of people paying you, and then you pay off a little bit, right? That's how they make money. They get these monthly payments, and normally nothing happens. So when it does, they grab from that bigger pot. Well, when everybody is having catastrophe, yeah, they would be losing money. But it's also their job to know about catastrophes, to know the risks of catastrophes, because they're essentially gamblers. They're gambling and betting that no catastrophes are going to happen when they give you a policy. That's why different kinds of insurances will look at different things like credit, area, this, that, because they want to make sure that they're insuring something that is most likely not going to happen, or most likely this person is going to be responsible and not do this. That's why car insurance for people that have done bad things or DUIs or things, their insurance is super high because there's a high chance of them doing something again. But with this, it kind of makes you wonder. State Farm canceled us after one claim, Nicole Marie. My aunt and uncle, they had a different one, but they got canceled after two. And one of them was a flood due to a crappy dishwasher, and then the other was a car ran into the car ran into the deck. I actually told you guys about this the other day, the self-driving car thing, and they believe that the self-driving radar thing just took it forward right into their deck. So when they cancel your thing, usually there's a huge wait. If they did cancel you after one claim, I think there's a time period before you can go back, and sometimes you can't at all. Like they had to wait 5 years to go back with that same company. But yeah, Dex, what do you think about California not? Are they basically telling us that they see fire in the next year and like really, 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 really bad ones?
Yeah, I think they're saying don't live there. If they don't want to insure it, why would you want to live there? I'm not saying that they're the best insurance, but they're one of the biggest, and they're not alone. They're not the only one. It's just the one that happens to be named in this report. They're the ones that's calling it out. It is not uncommon for insurance companies to, be too heavy in one state. Maybe they have too many auto policies in a state and they want to balance their books. So they don't just usually stop. What they do is just raise rates on new people, and people go, that's way too expensive. I'm going to go with the other guy. And that's fine. And then eventually they'll lose some policies and they'll balance back out. that's typical. This is it's not rare, but it's very extreme for them to say, you know what, we're just not writing policies in California, completely not writing them. You think they would just say, well, we'll just charge a lot of money. We'll just double the rates. But they're saying, nah, it's not even worth it. So I think that's kind of a scary thought when you think about the amount of damages, the amount of catastrophes they've seen. And by the way, the folks who are behind these insurance companies, they're actuarians, are some of the smartest predictive people out there. I mean, their entire job and career is based on predicting the potential cost of events that happen at people of this age, of this location, whether or not they're married or not, whether or not they make good grades in school or not, how many accidents do they have, and how much is it going to cost on average for those people when they're driving vehicles for us to repair, so that they can collect enough money from their customers to pay the bill. They don't need to be in the negative. The company won't exist. They've got to make a profit. As a matter of fact, they're not necessarily, some of these aren't necessarily completely for profit. They're sort of trying to maintain an even number where everybody insures in and it pays for it. So those are some smart people as far as having insight. And they're the ones saying, hey, we're not going to California right now. So that should be a pretty big warning to folks.
Yeah, and what happens when all of them follow suit? Do people just not live in California, or they buy? How many people are going to want to buy a house when they can't get certain types of insurance, especially when it gets to the point where nobody covers them? By the way, Lewis said that they have me in subscriber only chat or whatever. We don't. I can see your chats, and then I actually read out your first super chat, and they can't delete it. So that's not a thing. It still shows up on my end. So even if somebody did it, it will show up to me. So
yeah, you have to subscribe to the channel for more than like 2 or 3 minutes just to keep trolls at bay. But yeah, anybody can come here and hit the subscribe button and you can chat.
Everybody has that. And that's because people can make a new account every 30 seconds and they come in and they'll just be absolute asses. As far as you can watch the show and not be subscribed. Heck, we have thousands of people that do it that way. I would highly recommend you do subscribe, but a small percent that want to chat, yeah, we ask that you subscribe. It's a common thing now across almost all live streamers. If you want to chat with other people in our private chat, which, again, that chat is not a public space. The chat down below is ours. It's our chat. It's not a public corner. It's not, people talk about free speech and stuff in our chat. But again, this is our property. That it's not YouTube's property. It's our property down there. We're responsible for it too. So again, I get in trouble for stuff there if it's not moderated. So again, I appreciate all of you that understand that. It's just like if you walk into somebody's house and start screaming, you put your feet up on the table. Somebody's going to go, hey, get your feet off my table and stop screaming. They continue screaming. Okay, you can scream all you want. They go, free speech. I can't talk in your living room. No, you can go out to the side of the street. You can go out to the sidewalk and scream at me if you want. You can wear your shoes out there. But you can't do it in my living room because this is my house. That's how it works. When they say free speech, well, do you still have the ability to start your own channel and say whatever you want? Yep. Okay. So do so. That's the thing. Nobody is taking the right away from you speaking to the public. Somebody is saying, you can't speak inside of my house to my friends and yell, I'm going to tell you to leave. I mean, it's the simplest analogy to explain it. And that's why we have wonderful mods. And if there is issues, there are rare issues where, heck, before slow mode, the chat would go so fast, a legitimate person saying, F this, and I'm screaming and obscenities or saying something gross, they would go to mute them, and the chat would go so fast, they would accidentally mute somebody else. And then that person would be absolutely furious, rightfully so, because they got muted for no reason. But it's because they missed their name on the fast scrolling chat. That's why we slowed it down. It was happening way too much. But yeah, and I don't know if slow mode actually applies to members, but It still happens every once in a while. A member ends up getting accidentally hit. All right, and then let's see here. Thank you, by the way. Thank you, everybody that has popped in. Thank you, Meet Papa 07. So the Common Sense show got taken out, and YT cleared their videos from your watch history. Shout out to the mods. That's I heard about that yesterday. I didn't know if that was for sure. Well, it's kind of what I've been saying for years, and it's not the first and it's not the last, and that's why we say we have to, again, wear the camo. If you go into a battlefield, you can't wear bright orange. I'm curious on why, though. What was it that actually triggered that? And you're going to see a lot more in the coming days. That's why we thank all of you for the support. If you haven't already, make sure to go check out Energy. When you support affiliates like this, first of all, it's a product that we believe in, that we use ourselves, that we absolutely 100% back. This is the best solar generator on the market. When you support companies like this, not only are you getting a discount through us, you are helping support us fight. Because, again, we are on our own. We don't have a multi-channel network. If something happens, we have to fight it. We have to fight it on our own. We don't have a multi-channel network to negotiate for us or any of that. So we appreciate everybody that does help. It is becoming a crazy landscape in this world, being able to say anything you want on your own channel. Again, you can start a brand new channel to 2 people, but it's not gonna reach anybody. That's why it's getting harder and harder to do anything right now. So I appreciate it. Everybody that supports us, make sure to go over and check this out. In general, this is an amazing tool for anything as far as power related. You can bring this with you. It's either a portable generator or you can expand it up to 96 batteries and make an entire wall. Again, people have talked about, these different battery walls that big companies are making. You can make your own with this. Again, the system is silent. It is, again, modular, so you can edit it. Just like Legos, they stack. You can expand it. And you can, of course, mod it in all sorts of different ways. If there's something by chance that this doesn't do today, they're most likely working on a mod so it can do it tomorrow. Already, they have a UPS mod that turns it into an uninterrupted power supply, meaning that if you plug your fridge into this into the wall, when the power goes out, it will immediately switch over. But this actually has a double use. This is a rapid charger. So you can also plug in a regular cord right into the wall, and it will charge each battery in about 40 minutes, which is insane. That is crazy fast. 1,000-watt battery, it can charge in about an hour from the wall. That's when you have power, and again, you can just keep this charged up from the wall. Otherwise, if you have solar panels, you'll have unlimited power. You don't have to store gas. It's silent, so nobody's going to hear you from 3 blocks away and know that you have power, and you can have it running inside. That's the cool part about these, and you can bring it to work, power your tools with it. A lot of construction folks like myself use it to do their different drills and saws and charge all their stuff up. Again, this thing is an awesome powerhouse of a machine. They also have one slightly above it as well. It is a bit tougher. In fact, it's so tough that the Army is going to be using this. This actually just won the SBIR Army Phase 2 contract. This is the tactical. It has built-in heaters into every battery. It has a 1,500-pound set of latches. It also has a steel reinforced frame, grounding built right in. This thing is absolutely awesome. Go check it out at marfooglenews.com. It's water and dust resistant, and there is a wait for this. All of these are in high demand. So again, be patient. If you want one of these, you got to get your name in there 6 months ago. So get it while you can. marfooglenews.com/energy, INERGY. And to our main story, is Earth's magnetic field on the verge of flipping over? An expert explains. So it says that the Earth's magnetic field plays a big role in protecting people from hazardous radiation and geomagnetic activity that could affect satellite communications and the operation of power grids. And it moves. Scientists have studied and tracked the motion of the magnetic poles for centuries. The historical movement of these poles indicates a change in the global geometry of the Earth's magnetic field. It may even indicate that the beginning of a field reversal, a flip between the north and the south magnetic poles. It says, quote, I'm a physicist who studies the interaction between the planets in space. Well, the North Magnetic Pole moving a little bit isn't a big deal. A reversal could have a big impact on the Earth's climate and our modern technology. But these reversals don't happen instantaneously. Instead, they occur over thousands of years. People have been talking about this pole flip, and on a side note, we have had many folks worried about this for 5 years since I started this channel before that. And folks have been talking about pole flip for a long time. We've had some pretty scary stories that came out over the last couple of years, but our same community that is usually the ones, that are afraid of everything actually came out with information that went against all of the fear. For instance, like Ben from Suspicious Observers, there was mainstream media that said that the Earth's core had stopped. Now, I don't know for sure still to this day if they've completely updated that, but what he said is that was something that really shouldn't be worried about, that it was the outer core, the inner core, one of which that it has done that, and it does that on a regular basis or something like that. But how mainstream media said, it said the Earth's core has stopped. I mean, that's scary as hell. If we're thinking, if they believe what science tells us and it's, doing all of this and we're going 1,000 miles per hour, then if the core stopped, that's a big deal. If you spin an egg and then stop it, the inside keeps going. What they're saying, it's almost reverse. It's spinning and the inside just stopped. Well, then what happens then? You would think if it was like an egg, it would stop the outside of the egg from frickin' spinning. But a lot of the magnetic poles and actual pole flip, or Earth flipping and turning and magnetic poles flipping, people are worried about this being the end of the world. But they are now going over kind of the stuff that would happen. It says this goes into that, but I wanted to go into, it says the movement of these conducting layers inside planets results in two types of fields. Larger motions, such as large-scale rotations with the planet, led to symmetric magnetic field with a north and south pole, similar to a toy magnet. These conducting layers may have some irregular motions due to local turbulence or smaller flows that do not follow the large-scale pattern. These irregularities will manifest in some small anomalies in the planet's magnetic field or places where the field deviates from being a perfect dipole field. These small-scale deviations in the magnetic field can actually lead to changes in the large-scale field over time and potentially even complete reversal of the polarity of the dipole field, where the north becomes south and the south becomes the north. The designations of north and south on the magnetic field refer to their opposite polarities. They're not related to geographic north and south. So this kind of shows a really simple diagram basically showing they're talking about this is the geographic North Pole, right? Geographic South Pole. This is the magnetic South Pole and the magnetic North Pole. What they would do is they would essentially flip. Now, there's all sorts of scientists that have said many different things about this, but some are concerned that it will cause havoc and absolutely wreak total chaos on Earth. They say it's a protective bubble, and if something like this were to happen, and again, they don't know exactly what would happen, but if it does flip and makes the magnetic protection, the bubble around our planet, weak, then something like a smaller solar flare could do a whole lot of damage. I wish we had Wages on, because I'm sure he could be a real great help to me right now going over some of this. But essentially, it says the magnetosphere and the ionosphere's interaction with the magnetized solar winds creates what scientists call space weather. Usually the solar wind is mild and there's little or no space weather. However, these are times when the sun sheds large magnetized clouds of gas called coronal mass ejections. Right now, we just had a triple coronal mass ejection. If these coronal mass ejections make it to Earth, their interaction with the magnetosphere can generate geomagnetic storms. Geomagnetic storms can create auroras, which can happen in a stream of energized particles hits the atmosphere and lights up. During space weather events, there's more hazardous radiation near the Earth. This radiation could potentially harm satellites and astronauts. Again, satellites. Space weather can also damage large conducting systems, such as major pipelines and power grids, by overloading currents in these systems. Space weather events can also disrupt satellite operation and GPS operation. And they're saying that the location of the North Magnetic Pole has moved about 600 miles since the first measurement was taken in 1831. The migration speed has increased from 10 miles per year to 34 miles per year. That's a huge change. In more recent years, this acceleration could indicate the beginning of a field reversal, but scientists really can't tell with less than 200 years of data. The Earth's magnetic field reverses on timescales that vary between 100,000 and 1 million years. Scientists can tell how often the magnetic field reverses by looking at volcanic rocks in the ocean, or at least that's what they think. These rocks capture the orientation and strength of the Earth's magnetic field when they were created, so dating these rocks provides a good picture of how the Earth's field was evolved over time. Scientists can't tell with any confidence when the next field reversal will happen, but we can keep mapping and tracking the movement of Earth's magnetic field. And essentially, if this ends up flipping, they believe that a lot of folks believe that the actual bubble will either disappear entirely and rebuild, or that it will weaken so bad that a tiny CME could knock out absolutely everything. A lot of folks have talked about this for a very long time, and as far as the pole shift, some believe that there could be massive disasters all over the world, and some even believe that this is why people like Elon and Jeff Bezos and Virgin Mobile and Branson and all of these people are trying to get to space. This is why some believe that they are trying to go to the moon or Mars to basically camp out while the Earth is repairing itself. There's all sorts of crazy theories about this. What I would love to hear is yours. If you are an expert in the field, please let us know. Email me, or again, comment down below if you want to come on our show and talk about this kind of stuff. I would love to hear from you about what you guys think about pole shift. Leave a very detailed comment. What are your beliefs on the pole shift, and what do you think is going to happen? We've also talked about the two different things as far as, and Dex, we've talked about the two different kinds of things as far as the actual Earth somehow shifting, 40 degrees or whatever it is, and then the poles flipping and doing all of this stuff. Some believe that there could be disasters that are absolutely horrendous, like if the Earth somehow shifts, then the water in the ocean will literally shift over entire continents.
That one's a different theory on crustal displacement, I believe is what it's called.
Yeah.
I think it came out of that book.
Adam and Eve.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so the as far as the magnetic, it would be a little bit different, but it could be just as disastrous, but in a different way. But that's also assuming we believe what science tells us. We've been lied to our entire lives, so who knows what's actually true. Again, most people go through their lives right now, though. So many people doubt everything that it's hard to tell what is real and what's not anymore, and that's pretty sad. It's pretty sad that even somebody with a PhD, now people really don't respect degrees because they feel like they did their degrees and their PhDs based off of information that we know, judging on how they report history now. Think about if you had a history PhD. Look at how they have wrote down and archived events that we've lived through, and then when they put them in the history books, they're writing what the propaganda wrote about these objects. So in 100 years, somebody who wasn't alive during 2001 or who wasn't alive during the January event, who saw it live on 8 of your friends' live streams, it's like, I saw one thing and they reported an entirely different thing. The reason why we cover mainstream media is because the mainstream media covers these things and it's different from what we actually saw with our own eyes. That's going in the history books. If there is nobody in the history books that questions those said reports, then that just gets put in there. Some high school student in 50 years from now, if we still exist, is going to write their paper on a history event. They're going to go back and look at articles reporting on it, and they're going to use the propaganda. So what's to say that they haven't been doing this for hundreds of years? And I think that that's a good reason, too, why people are questioning all sorts of actual academics right now. And I feel like it's because most of it is that the 3-letter agencies and other things have been involved in almost every part of our planet. Look at every event that's happened. There's usually some sort of tie to some sort of operation. It's getting absolutely nuts. This would be a little bit different. The Adam and Eve, that's even scarier. That's saying a physical crustal displacement of the Earth stopping in its tracks, and then everything on the surface keeps going. Winds 1,000 miles per hour going, and water going over entire continents. This one would be more. This could get rid of all of our protections. It's again, something I would love to hear your opinions on, and I would love for somebody who is a lifelonger, somebody who's been studying this for their entire life, I would love to have you on the show. I would love to have you bring your views to our audience, and please email me, adam@marfooglenews.com, and then, of course, you can also double that over to dex@marfooglenews.com, and, of course, put a comment down below. What does the chat think? What do you guys think about pole shift? In the chat, let me know what you think right now. I'm going to put you up on screen. Johnson, thank you. Pool Noodle, I appreciate you being here. OBZRV, Stellarium, what is going on? Nice to see you. Kathy Piana, there's a body on the equator the size of Bermuda Triangle. Move to the Helena Slump Palisades at another 300 feet. Build a big air balloon. Let's see here. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse is the sun and its changing behavior and effects on our planet. How do your name is period. That's hilarious. Martin Cole, earthquakes. Yes, a lot of folks believe that it could affect our earthquakes. All right, Jer says the least of our problems. Ask a pilot. Let's see here. The poles will shift. It is a flip of 2 magnets poles. Reversal will happen in the next 25 years, says DJ Needles. So I've heard a lot of folks saying that it's going to happen in a certain amount of time. I don't know. That's what I would love to. I would love to hear different views on this. Science has been wrong for a long time. Basil Para. Well, I do agree with parts of that. Very informative. Pink Floyd. Yeah, Ben made me feel a whole lot better about the core stopping. Micronova coming soon. Curb Creeper. Sounds like the Book of Eli. Kathy Piana. Read mine. Well, I did. I tried to read part of it. I don't know if I missed something. Pole shift is going to happen. Land masses will join and separate. Well, so I think that's the other kind of, that's like the crustal displacement theory. And science is a lot of agreed upon lies. Cheryl Lynn says pole shift is happening. Technically it is. It's moving 34 miles a year, which is really quite crazy. If you think about it, your magnetic north is moving 34 miles a year. And it's jumped around, too. It's actually hopped around. All right. And scientists and experts say whatever their finders ask. Nothing new under the sun. I'll listen to the Book of Eli soundtracks now. 2030, think about it. With the new islands seeming to form off the coast. Oh, Sailor Spirit. Yeah. So we just mentioned that last week. Actual islands are popping up out of nowhere. Yeah, there's some weird stuff going on. Change your compasses. Yeah, like reset it back, like fall back and jump forward, right? Fauci, science for me. What? Pink Floyd, thank you. And Beetlejuice coming, Michael Jordan. Well, thank you, and everybody. Thank of course your mods too. Thank you, Rip Curl, for modding. Thank you, Jammer. I don't know if we had Aaliyah tonight. I know she's had a lot going on. Thank you so much for making it to most of the shows. Viv B, Terry Snyder. And everybody else, Terry, thank you for saying what's up to the mods. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Yeah, volcanoes are erupting. I don't know what's going to happen, and that's what I want to hear from you guys. Dex, there's a lot more stuff on the web, and of course we added all of. Do you want to just tell people how to get to the bibliography?
Yeah, just go to marfooglenews.com or hit the show notes link down below in the description.
And Dex, thank you for your service today. I appreciate you.
Great job, brother. Much love.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. And of course, you can always reach out to us. Thank you, everybody that supported tonight. Over on D Live, special thank you to One on B, Robert49, Kimbria, Renegade PD. Thank you so much. Johnson, Robert 10108. Thank you. Johnson, thank you for gifting out badges. Chance, thank you for holding it down over there. Aunt Jenny, and of course, Warrior UK, thank you for hosting. I appreciate that. That was much appreciated, and I'm sorry I didn't call you out earlier on that. Thank you if you're still watching. And thank you, Meepup007, for letting me know about Dave over there. That's really, really sad. Stephanie Cook, thank you. Lewis Dennings, thank you. Grace for you too. Angela Bloom, Tennessee Mountain Girl, thank you so much for your support tonight. And it looks like you are the top supporter tonight. Thank you. Of course, thank you. Also, shout outs to I Used to Be in the Library, Richard Koschmeider, B Real Beast, Jennifer V, Neil Nelson, Trilicit, Chanel Beveliqua, Frank Miller, Melissa Height, Sharon Davis, of course, Danish Girl, thank you, Carol, Andrew Moon, K. Parker Fraser, Liz W., and everybody else. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It's now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro, it's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. All right, you guys. Thank you, Tennessee Mountain Girl. We're gonna make a new song for Tennessee Mountain Girl. A day will come when they. Hey, I think I see patience. There we go. Had to find one to delete. Let's make a fresh one for Tennessee Mountain Girl. Thank you, and thank you. Tennessee Mountain Girl.